if you invested a little bit of time every day on upgrading your daily habits and rituals and what you do in the morning, how you plan, how you upgrade your knowledge and skills, and you are accountable to getting it done, do you think you would be more successful in the next 12 months? Would I be accurate in saying that you want an exceptional life and that what would give you, I guess, the feeling that you want is choice freedom, emotional freedom, and obviously financial freedom? I'm going to show you a path to get there if this is you. And if you're a NeuroGym member, you know what I'm talking about. Like, how many of you are ready for the exceptional life? Anybody? Like, many of you know, because you're members of my Exceptional Life coaching program, many of you know I have my Exceptional Life blueprint, with 45 pages of my exceptional life. And it's taken me 40 years to perfect that, to have an exceptional life. So let's get into a couple of things that you need to understand about yourself. For some of you, this is going to be a review. For others, it's going to be new. So when we're talking about our brain, right, our brain evolved in 3 segments: the instinctual reptilian part of your brain, the limbic system, the emotional part of your brain, and then the neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, and the other lobes developed last. But left part of your brain is what I call the Einstein part of your brain. Right side of your brain is called the Frankenstein part of your brain. These are just terms that I came up with for my new best-selling book, Inner Size. And so I teach in ways that will help you understand that you have a brain, but you're not your brain. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that you have a brain, but you're not your brain? And if you can use your brain a little bit better, you can probably achieve a lot more, right? So we have our Einstein brain and our Frankenstein brain. And if you imagine that your brain, has a variety of different members to it, and you are the orchestra leader. So let's get a framework for what's happening and how your brain operates. And feel free, if you want to take a picture of this and post it on social media and just hashtag InnerSize or hashtag myneurogym.com, that's great as well. But the way that your brain and organism makes decisions automatically is based on survival and safety. So what do you think your brain has been experiencing in 2020 when this pandemic started in February? And we didn't know how this virus would act, whether it was man-made or not, it's irrelevant, but we didn't know how contagious it was, how deadly it was. And then when we found that it's 2.5 times more contagious than the flu and deadlier than the flu, then holy shit, now we are in this survival and safety mode. Will I get it? Will it kill me? How will it affect me? And we've learned a lot more in the last, 8-9 months. But what happens when our brain is in constant adrenal fatigue and we've released cortisol and epinephrine and our brain's consistently trying to figure out, should I touch this? Should I go out? Should I not go out? Should I fly? Should I eat out? Should I not? Will I get it? Will I not? It causes this constant state of stress and alertness, which exhausts us and reduces our motivation. It reduces our abilities to take inspired action as a protective mechanism. So a lot of people have been stuck or, just wondering what's going on. And since our brain is wired to avoid any pain or discomfort, then for a lot of people, this extra stress and tension has caused them to maybe gain weight, to have mental anguish, to have a lot of stress, uncertainty, unpredictability. It caused them not to take inspired action. Does that make sense so far? Does that make sense so far, right? And then, our brain's trying to conserve energy. So it wants to do number 1 and 2 automatically. It wants to conserve energy. And so before we have the energy and ability to take action towards achieving our goals and dream so that we gain pleasure, okay? So that we gain pleasure, it has to take care of all the other stuff. So with that, let's understand as well that our brain has got 6 emotional reactions for safety or reward, right? So number one, we have this automatic circuit that is triggered called fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being sick, fear of dying, fear of being embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged, fear of pain, fear of discomfort. And that activates the fight, flight, or freeze trigger in our brain. All right. Number two, right, is anger, right? For release of an emotion, okay, or for courage. So we can have anger when somebody makes us angry, we can yell and scream, or we can, fight as well. The disgust is another emotion, and all of emotions are triggered in our subconscious mind, release neurochemicals that we call our feelings. Does that make sense? Right? So does that make sense? So we have fear, anger, disgust. These are the 6 core emotions. We have surprise for dealing with novel information. So why does the news consistently change? Why do the best marketers and advertisers in the world consistently change information? It's to create surprise, to activate your brain to pay attention. We have sadness for dealing with, for withdrawal or elicitation of soothing comfort. These are all subconscious in nature. And then we have, happiness for social engagement and what we call our approach behaviors, move towards behaviors. So can you see how the first 3 of your emotions are move away from emotions, right? The emotion of sadness is also a move away or move towards emotion, right? And then surprise, usually it's both as well. And then happiness, we tend to move towards. But our brain is wired, for the most part, millions of years of evolution, to move us away from what we don't want, for survival and safety, avoidance of pain or discomfort, while it conserves energy before we gain pleasure. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I want to teach you this so you understand that you have emotions. You are not your emotions. And just like a Hollywood actor or actress can become aware of what emotions he or she wants, you can switch and flip your emotions from one emotional state to another, but that takes a little bit of training. So yours and my Frankenstein brain, when your Frankenstein brain is activated, all right, your Frankenstein brain is focusing on what if, negative, we call it frames. So when you have uncertainty around your business, your health, your relationship, your career, your job, whatever it is, your Frankenstein brain, because so much of our brain is wired for moving away from behaviors, a lot of your energy and attention is focusing on the negative. What if I fail? What if I succeed? What if I die? What if I fill in the blank? So what is one of your number one, fears or moving away from things right now? So what is the one thing you're moving away from? Discomfort, fear of success, never seeing your kids again, fail and shame, lack mindset, move away from lack mindset, moving away from failures, real or imagined failures, lack and limitation. Yeah, so what happens is we get fixated on anything that might cause us pain, discomfort, or has a way to affect our lives in a negative way. Does that make sense? Embarrassment, shame, ridiculed, being judged. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong when the fear circuit is activated. That is your brain actually doing what it needs to do to protect you just in case. Now, I want to ask you a question. When you learned how to drive a car, did you also learn, how to open the door to the car, how to turn on the ignition, how to go from park to reverse to neutral to drive? Did you learn how to use the gas and the brakes together? Mm-hmm. You had to learn all of that in order to be able to drive, right? Well, could you use or learn to use the Frankenstein part of your brain to fuel your success instead of to hinder your success. You can use a microwave, as my friend Bob Proctor said, to cook a meal or to cook a person. You can use a knife to slice a tomato or to kill somebody. So what I want you to understand is there's nothing wrong with how your brain is working. But if you're not in a state of awareness and you deliberately choose what you want, you keep reinforcing patterns that you don't want. So in a state of fear, okay, it creates a state of stress. It creates a state of uncertainty. We can actually see the blood flow leaving the left prefrontal cortex. Your motivational centers shut down, which means what do? You stay in your safe comfort zone. And I want somebody to write this down. In life, we either master disappointment and comfort zones, or we make a choice to master change. We either master disappointment and current comfort zones, or we master change. So if you want to release, okay, the stress, the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the doubt, you have to know how to turn that off. So when your Frankenstein brain is activated, this is what the feeling is, right? You're going to feel anxiety, stress. When the demand exceeds the capacity, right? That's when we feel stress. When you're lacking the knowledge and skill of what to do, that's when you feel the stress. When your self-image doesn't allow you to take inspired action because there's a mismatch, it causes stress and causes lack of control. And so when we are hyper-focusing on the negative what ifs, it causes disempowered feelings, which leads many people to feeling powerlessness or powerless, which leads to destructive, disempowering, negative behaviors. Does that make sense? So Frankenstein brain, oh, sorry, that's Einstein brain, but Frankenstein brain is not the problem. It's your lack of, if this is you, it's your lack of skill of what to do about it, right? So I'm going to show you a couple things today. So first, okay, you've got to learn how to stop the patterns. So how do you do that? Well, you have to learn to become aware of the pattern and the behavior, and then you want to interrupt it 1 time, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, 50 times. There's one of my favorite quotes that goes like this: amateurs practice until they get something right once or twice or 3 times, and pros practice until they can't get it wrong. Amateurs practice until they get it right once or twice. Pros practice until they can't get it wrong. So the practice of awareness requires a deliberate shift in your behavior. So what if you took your mobile phone, right now I'm timing the presentation, if you took your mobile phone, and what if every hour you set at the top of the hour 3 minutes to just do a check-in by taking 6 deep breaths, first in through your nose and then out through your mouth slowly to deactivate the Frankenstein brain? And then what if you wrote on a sheet of paper your thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, and the behaviors you've been taking for the last half hour or hour? And then what if you realized that some of them were disempowering you? What if then you set an intention and then you took one inspired action towards what you want to achieve? That, by the way, the first exercise that I gave you is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits, the neural circuits that you have, sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. And the second one's called AYA, which is awareness, intention, action. Doing those 2 little exercises every hour, 5 or 6 days a week, will teach your brain to be aware of patterns, positive, negative, constructive, destructive, empowering, disempowering, and then you can deliberately and consciously evolve yourself instead of being a victim of your old conditioning and patterns. If you committed to doing just that, you would then, okay, activate your Einstein brain, which I will tell you how to do in just a moment. But if you do that without judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification, just pure awareness, now you're not going to reinforce a disempowering pattern that you may have that may be holding you back. Can I have permission to be your coach and to tell you what I think you need to hear instead of telling you what you want to hear? Is that okay? Can I be your coach? And just no bullshit, no walking on eggshells. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. Anybody could be easy on you. That's not me. Life is serious and fun. All right. And somebody got the answer right that I saw. I can't remember who it is, but somebody says ignorance is not knowing. So if you don't know how to manage your mindset, if you don't know how to manage, okay, your brain and the Einstein or Frankenstein brain in a way where you're not reinforcing negative patterns, then you are ignorant. And the antidote solution for ignorance is knowledge and skill. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? Do you agree that the antidote for ignorance is knowledge and skill? So if you have knowledge and skills, then guess what? Then the demand won't exceed your capacity. But if you're feeling uncertain, doubtful, fearful, then the demand of what is required right now in the most challenging time most of us have ever lived, unless you lived, through World War II, this is one of the most challenging times ever. So how do you get the energy back to the Einstein brain, right? So energy flows where attention goes. The first exercise that I gave you, take 6, calm the circuits. The second exercise that I gave you, the Aya, awareness, intention, action, that deactivates sympathetic nervous system, that activates parasympathetic nervous system. And now by taking inspired action, you've actually also released dopamine, possibly some adrenaline. And then if you share it with other people, and you're in a really great environment, serotonin and oxytocin, some other neurochemicals that activate and keep activated the motivational centers of your brain. So let me share with you something I want to share with you. And some of you have seen this. How many of you have seen the FedEx logo before? Tell me you have. I'm going to go back to this slide. Tell me you've seen it. How many of you know where the arrow is in the FedEx logo? Say, I do. I know where the arrow is. How many of you do not know where the arrow is in the FedEx logo? I've used this for 10 years now. So most of the world knows this because everybody has copied it. I'm going to show you 3 things. Take a look between the E and the X in white, right? Between the E and the X in white. That was always there. Some people have seen it. Some people have never seen it. Now, how about the tire that's coming towards you, right? Can you all see it between the E and the X? E and the X in white. How about the tire that's coming towards you? Does anybody know where the tire is? Who does not know where the tire is coming towards you? I want to teach you something, all right? I want you to find the thing that looks like a tire coming towards you this way. It's coming towards you this way. Once you see it, tell me that you can see it. John, I see it. Oh, they're part of the D. Was it always there? Yes, but you weren't drawn to it because nobody gave you the exercise to pay attention, right? So all of you should see it now, but I'm going to go one more time. How many of you bake? Anybody bake here? Anybody a baker here? Anybody use a little measuring spoon to measure, salt or baking soda or yeast or sugar? Anybody? 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 All right, Juan Carlos, I'll show you the thing. So you bake. So are you aware that FedEx, when Fred Smith created FedEx, one of the things they were solving for was to get packages into people's hands by 10 o'clock the next morning. And their tagline was, when it positively, absolutely has to be there overnight, right? So how many of you know that story about Fred Smith and the measuring spoon? They wanted to measure where the package was. So you know what they did? They put a little measuring spoon, okay, in the FedEx logo. It looks just like a little measuring spoon. Who knows where the measuring spoon is? And you might be wondering, like, why are you doing this, John? I'll tell you in a moment. Who knows where the measuring spoon is? Who does not know? Say, yes, I know. No, I don't know. We'll have some fun. Do you like having fun with me? No, I don't know. Come on, participate here. Take a look at the E and look at the bottom half of the E. Can you see the measuring spoon now? But now, this is not an exercise, okay, in finding arrows and tires and measuring spoons. What do you think the exercise is about? Do we see with our brain or do we see with our eyes? Is it your brain that sees or your eyes see? Think about this. Our brain is what sees, right? Now, our brain is what sees. Eyes just allow light into our brains. And you may not be aware of this, but your eyes are actually a part of your brain. When your brain is developing, your eyes protrude out very early in the developmental stage of a fetus, right? So the eye is part of the brain. Your eye allows light in through your brain, all right? And so guess what your brain is doing? It only sees what you are conditioned to see. It only experiences what you're conditioned to experience. It deletes and distorts everything else. So how do you focus your brain on what it is that you want? Do you know why I have an exceptional life blueprint that I go through every morning? My goals and my guiding principles and my core prayer and my digital vision board and my milestones for business, health, wealth, career, business, my big why. Do you know why? Put my results in advance in here and I review them every day. Do you know why I do that? Can anybody understand why I do that? And so Diana says, it's fascinating how our influence our unconscious to keep focus, intention, conditioning. Is it possible that whatever you pay attention to consistently and repeatedly, remember the hierarchy of how your brain works? Avoidance of pain and discomfort, survival, conserve energy. When you focus on what you want and you repeatedly train your brain to help you find it, it finds the arrows, the tires, the baking spoons, because you are training your brain on what it is that's important to you. And back to energy flows where attention goes. So when you create your vision and your goals, and when you create your why, which is activating another part of your brain, you're instructing your brain. And when you reinforce it a day, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, a year, when you keep yourself in the environment of how you can achieve your goals, how you will achieve your goals, why you must achieve your goals, and you're in the environment with other people who are also achieving their goals that are there to help you, do you think that is a powerful way to achieve goals faster and easier than ever before? Just out of curiosity. I've been studying this for 40 years. All right. So when you focus your brain with the right questions, the right environment, and of course, taking action, you're able to achieve your goals faster and easier than ever before. And when you do what I just suggested, do you think maybe, when you look at your digital vision board or the one that you print, and you look at your guiding principles and your life's purpose and your vision and your mission, do you think that might activate the motivational center of your brain, which is connected to what? The behavioral center of your brain. So do you think when motivation is high, behavior also tends to be high? And when motive for action is low, so is behavior? Do you think when motivation is low, self-sabotage is high? When motivation is low, procrastination is high, right? So what we have to understand is you have circuits and networks in your brain. Think of it this way. There are certain things that activate your fear circuit, Frankenstein brain, and other things that activate your motivational circuit. Frankenstein brain, move away, stop. Einstein brain, motivational circuit, move towards, right? So activating Einstein leads to your conscious choices, more certainty, courage, perception shift, rationality, feeling empowered, and taking inspired action. Which do you prefer? Activating Einstein and having the Einstein brain work to help you figure things out in challenging times and in times when there's amazing opportunities, or is Frankenstein brain going to ruin and run your life? Which one do you want? Like if you want, right, to be healthier, make more money, grow your business, protect what you have, get out of debt, invest, have a better relationship, which part of the brain do you want? You want Frankenstein to be there to help you just in case, to make you aware. But you want to be operating from the conductor, the executive function part of your brain. There's training that you can do for that. And I'm I'm not going to get into too much. I'm trying to give you a couple keys, right? So one of the things that's critical is, in order for you to achieve your goals and dreams, having a little bit more mindset and emotional control is one of your success keys. Does this make sense? Are we on a good trajectory right now, right? So activating Einstein, being aware of Frankenstein, right? And so what we want to do from a brain perspective, right? If you want your exceptional life, choice freedom, emotional freedom, financial freedom, what we want to do is go from some chaos and uncertainty and doubt to coherence and harmony. Does that make sense? Chaos to coherence. Everybody know what coherence is, right? Chaos is 5 band members getting together. All right. 5 members getting together of a band, and they're not playing in harmony. They're out of coherence. And for whoever asked me, John, am I going to have a drink? I'm going to have some vodka right now. Yeah, Martha Jazz is organized chaos, right? They're actually in symbiotic synchronicity, right? So mindset and emotional control is you want to focus on these 5 things. Is awareness is what gives you choice. Choice is what gives you freedom. And that's what we want. When we have an attitude, right, of focusing on how I will, like I showed you in the Einstein picture, then you're more in coherence. When you have the beliefs that you need to achieve the goals that you want, you're in coherence. When your self-image matches the vision and goals that you have, then you're able to be more in coherence. And then when you have focus, you could take the same analogy I use with my magnifying glass, and that is the sun can heat up my skin. But if I took the magnifying glass and I put it in between the sun and my hand, I could burn my hand. So focused attention. So we want to be focused on attitude, awareness, belief, self-image, and focus, and obviously habits, right? So success key number 2, skill set, right? So we already established, right, that we need to have the right mindset, but what about the right skill set? Is it important to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it under all circumstances, right? So is it important to have some sort of mastery, right? Remember we said before, stress is when demand exceeds capacity. So we have mental demands that are higher than our capacity, emotional demands, but we also have physical demands, strategical demands, financial demands that exceed our capacity, right? And so if you really want to have the emotional freedom, financial freedom, and choice freedom, you have to integrate mindset with skill set. Is that fair? And so what kind of skill set do you need to upgrade? What has to happen? I want you to let me know 1 or 2 skills that if you upgraded them, 2021 becomes a much better year for you. So planning. Are you in need of more planning? Do you need to know what strategies to implement? Do you need to alter your actions, your behaviors, right? Create new habits. Like, what do you need, right? And in many cases, it might be better planning, better strategies, and more actions that are consistent with the goals and dreams that I want to achieve, right? So that's actions, right? And so then number 3, once you have that, then it's what we talked about just now is action set. Now, I want you to understand there's a big difference between taking action one time and creating the habits to consistently be an action taker, right? And so when we're talking about action set, we want to go from being active to be productive. Active to being productive. We want to shift from doing a whole bunch of stuff that may or may not work to doing fewer things that are the most productive. The critical few versus the trivial many. Critical few versus trivial many. Does that make sense? So when we focus on the critical few instead of the trivial many, now we start to develop a pattern for success. And so here is what you really have to do. If you are serious about achieving your goals, you've got to commit to upgrading your daily habits and be accountable. If you invested a little bit of time every day on upgrading your daily habits and rituals and what you do in the morning, how you plan, how you upgrade your knowledge and skills, and you are accountable to getting it done, do you think you would be more successful in the next 12 months? Right? Do you think you would be more successful? Now, what is the difference between interest and commitment? Many of you know my story with my first mentor, Alan Brown, right? Interested means, yeah, this is great, it sounds good, but you do what's easy and convenient, right? Being committed means you do whatever it takes. No stories, no reasons, no excuses. You do whatever it takes. Now, here's the question for you. Many of you know Jim Rohn, famous philosopher, personal development guru, passed away several years ago. One of my favorite quotes from him is this, and tell me if you agree. In life, you will either pay the price of discipline or you will end up paying the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. What are you prepared to do to achieve your goals and dreams? Are you going to pay the price of discipline, or do you want to pay the price of regret? Which one are you in for yourself, right? Pay the price of discipline. So if you paid the price of discipline, you upgraded your mindset and your skill set and your behaviors, and you were in this environment of accountability, chances are you can achieve your goals and dreams faster and easier, right? So these are some of the things that you want to be doing. And I've shown this little diagram that my friend Simon Bowen shared with me a while ago, and it's the 3 potential futures. So if you were sitting with a crystal ball in front of you right now, would you agree that it's possible that your life could get much worse, whether it's in your health or relationships or career or business, finances? Is it possible that it could get much worse? It's a possibility, right? Your life could have more of the same, right? It could, right? These are possibilities. These are potential futures. Now, what kind of life do you want? Do you want your life to get worse? Do you want your life to remain about the same? Or do you want to make a commitment to yourself to focus and plan and take some action so you thrive and get way better over the next 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Here's what I know. The next year, 2 years, 3 years, there's going to be so much opportunity. But if you're not prepared mentally, emotionally, if your skill set isn't there and your action set isn't there, the opportunities will pass you by. So let's have a little discussion. How many of you have goals that you're really serious about, but you haven't achieved? Right? Like, why? Like, let's get real, right? Like, why? Why haven't you achieved that goal? I'm going to tell you there's only one of 4 reasons, and many of you have heard me share this before. And this is a process. It's not going to happen in 60 days where you're going to all of a sudden magically become a goal-achieving machine. However, so somebody said procrastination. What procrastination's an effect, right? Fear is triggered in the subconscious mind. Let me give you some frameworks to understand. Setting goals requires Einstein to say, I want this, not that. I imagine my life like this, and that excites me. It's like, I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to contribute. I want to give. I want to have. I want to experience more. When we can travel, I want to travel more. I want to enjoy life. Those are goals. Those are real good goals, and it excites us. But there's a different part of the brain that's responsible for behavior than the part of the brain responsible for setting goals. Right? Setting goals is an intellectual and an imagination exercise. Achieving goals requires activating the limbic system in the brain, the emotional center in the brain. But even more than that, there's a part of our brain called the striatum. And the striatum is part of the hippocampus. That is where our habits reside. And if you don't know how to activate not just the frontal cortex to set the goals, and how to activate the emotional center in the brain to activate think about emotion. What does emotion really mean? It's the energy in motion. So you either have energy in motion that's moving you away from achieving your goals and dreams, or you take that energy and you create energy in motion to move you towards achieving those dreams. That's a skill. In the absence of knowing how to do that, you have goals. It doesn't make a difference how many books you learn from, how many videos you watch. If you don't understand the mechanics of just how to use a few of the functionalities of your brain right now, you have goals. And you talk about them and you high five with all your friends and you repeat them year after year after year and you don't achieve them. Because if you don't also change the habitual patterns in your brain that are responsible for 97% of your behaviors every single day, you're not going to take action consistently. Does that make sense? So what's the difference between goal setting and goal achieving? Goal setting happens here. Goal achieving requires a couple more members of the band to work in harmony so that there is coherence that leads to motivation, that leads to taking inspired action instead of chaos and incoherent patterns that deactivate motivation, that deactivate the motor cortex that keeps you stay safe and comfortable in your current comfort zone. So you can, if you're wondering, how is it that I can have visions and goals and excitement, but I don't take action? Well, one of four things may be happening. If you don't have the knowledge and the skills of how to achieve the goal, do you think you're going to be like mega confident or lacking confidence? Do you think you're going to be certain or uncertain? Do you think you're going to be in a state of doubt or fear? In a state of uncertainty, doubt, and fear, the natural behavior is safety, right? So what we want to do is we want to understand, okay, what is the knowledge and skill that I may need? That's part one. Part two. Let's say that you have a certain health goal that you want to achieve, but you've been unhealthy for a long time. There's a pattern and a set point in your brain for what that health situation is, whether it's your weight. Many of you know that 12 years ago, I decided I was going to get into the best shape of my life, and I was 238 pounds, 30+% body fat. And I said, enough is enough. And I finally released 30+ pounds of fat on my body, got into the best shape for my 50th birthday. And I have been at that weight, getting in better and better and better shape, that my goal for 60 is a six-pack, just because I think I can do it. But I had to recalibrate my self-image and my weight set point. That's a different part of our brain. So if your self-image doesn't match the vision or goal you have for health, wealth, relationships, finances, the lifestyle that you want, your subconscious mind is wired to keep bringing you back. So even if you take some steps towards it, it brings you back. You take some steps towards it, it brings you back. Take some steps toward it, it brings you back. Does that make sense fundamentally, right? What happens when you're in a room or in your car and your thermostat is set at this, and hot air or cold air comes in? What does your thermostat do? It sends a signal through the electrical system to turn on the heater or the air conditioner until the comfort zone is set. That's how yours and my brain works. So every one of us has a financial set point. Every one of us, when we earn more money than we're used to, we sabotage our success, so we end up back to where we were. Every one of us, if we're earning less than we're used to, we bust our little Assarafs off and we work harder to try and get back to our baselines. And we don't rest until we get there. We try to figure it out, right? Every one of us who goes on a diet and loses 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, it works great until what? Until you break the pattern and get back to your comfort zone and normal. So you yo-yo diet. The problem isn't with diets. Diets work. All of them work. But if you have a goal of achieving weight by 20 or 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, but you don't have a plan for how you maintain it and you change the set point, yes, you'll succeed. But 96% of people who lose weight gain it all back, not because they can't keep the weight off. That wasn't their goal. They didn't reset and recalibrate their fat set point and self-image. So that's number 2. Knowledge and skills, set points, and self-image. Number 3, limiting beliefs. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm black. I'm white. I'm Asian. I'm this. I'm that. I have had traumas, my circumstances, my conditions. We have limiting beliefs. Now, here's my question for you. What's a limiting belief? Were you born with any limiting beliefs? Answer me in the chat if you can. Were you born with any limiting beliefs? Were you born with any belief whatsoever? You weren't born with any. So is it possible? Stay with me for a little bit longer. Is it possible that a limiting belief is nothing more than a pattern, whether it was something we heard, something we saw, something that we experienced, something that somebody told us, something we felt that caused a belief, a feeling of certainty about something, and that belief was nothing more than a group of brain cells connecting that over time became reinforced from conscious. We learned the beliefs consciously, and then if they were reinforced or strong enough, they became unconscious patterns. And is it true that 97, 98% of our thoughts and emotions and feelings and sensations and behaviors are unconscious patterns that are just automatically activated to conserve energy? Remember the 3rd law of the brain, which creates something called automaticity. Automaticity is there to create a conservation of energy in our brains. So something that you have to think about, like brushing your teeth when you're a little kid, you can do without thought once the pattern goes from conscious effort to subconscious. Whether it's diet, exercise, brushing your teeth, learning how to play the piano, learning a Rubik's Cube, the patterns that are reinforced become neural networks, cells that unite, unify, and then what we have to do, especially for those of us over 25 years old, 20 years old, we actually have to become aware of the patterns and the set points, deliberately deactivate them, and create and reinforce new ones. So we can take a limiting belief and through some verbal cues and emotional cues and behavioral clues, take a limiting belief and then use things like, in the past, I used to believe that I wasn't smart enough, and now I'm learning that I'm more than smart enough to achieve my goal of blank. A simple language pattern shift from, here's my limiting belief that reinforces itself. I can interrupt that pattern and create a brand new one. So I will be teaching you a lot about how to do that. So now we have limiting beliefs hold us back, fears hold us back. We have 50 different types of fears. Fear of failure, fear of success. How many of you know what this one is? Fear of disappointment. Disappointing yourself again. Oh my God, I bought so many programs. I bought so many products. I've promised myself this is the year I'm going to do it. And your intentions are great. The problem isn't with the intention. And this we will be talking about over the course of the next year. The issue isn't the intention, because you're doing it with your heart and your mind. The issue is you don't understand what's happening in your limbic system and learning how to override the part of you that just wants to protect you and keep you comfortable and safe at your current financial, weight, debt, relationship, etc. You are not governed by what you want. You are governed by what you are conditioned to achieve. Is this resonating and making sense? What makes this program or what we do at Neurogym so different is we focus on cause versus effect. The reason I created so many brain training programs around weight loss and money and fear and procrastination and business is to rescript, reshape, repattern the subconscious mind so that it resonates and is in harmony with the conscious goal-setting mind. The emotions are the bridge between the two. So we will be doing a lot of really deeper work. Hopefully I explain stuff in the way that makes sense to you. And you go, okay, so now I know I need to listen to those audios so I get more emotional control, more focus, more awareness. Here's how I interrupt the pattern. Here's how I create a new one. Here's the right way to create plans. And that's what we do. So this particular exceptional life coaching, we'll get into that in the VIP even more. And then for some of you, as you work with us, you might need some other brain training programs. Make those decisions later. You don't need, to make any of that decision now. What I can tell you is we have helped hundreds of thousands of people just like you, and it works, and it works, and it works, and it works. We're using the latest neuroscience and neuropsychology. We're creating an environment for you to thrive in and feel safe, that you can grow without feeling embarrassed or ashamed. There's plenty of that in the rest of the world, not in our ecosystem. We need to be loved. We need to love, be loved, cared for, and we need to be challenged. If you want that kind of environment, come on over. We'll take great care of you. You won't find us blaming you, shaming you, disappointing you. And by the way, I didn't even mention this. If you don't like any of our programs, you always have 30-day money back guarantee. So yeah, I take all the risk, give you all the benefit. And all I ask is, if you're going to commit to yourself, come prepared to do it. Don't come half-assed, like tiptoe, maybe. No, maybe. Commit to it. If you are serious about achieving your health goals, wealth goals, relationship goals, career goals, I can help you. If you're not committed, I can't help you. Nobody can help you. Like, there's a part of this, right? You just have to be real with yourself. If you want the environment to grow and the environment to be able to be your best self, to be proud of you, to create the things that you want your children to look at you or your spouse to look at you and go, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of me because I'm challenged and I'm doing what I need to do. That's what, listen, at the end of the day, right? It's not just all the things you do great that is going to define you. It's all the things you overcame and overcome that will define you, right? That's true self-confidence. That's true self-worth. That's when you say, nothing can hold me back. I am unstoppable. And I want to remind you, we all need each other. I don't care what people say. I don't need you. Yeah, I need you. You need me. I need you. And that's okay to say. I don't care how much you've made or haven't made or I don't care what traumas you've had, it makes no difference. Life means that, in our particular case, we're a tribe. The human race is a tribe, and together we are way stronger. So we are way stronger. And I'm going to bring you some of the best brains in the world on getting your mindset right. And I show this slide all the time that says, mindset is what separates the best from the rest. Right? Mindset. It's not, there's plenty of people with skills from the best university in the world that they're on the street homeless. Not because they don't have the potential, something in the mindset is off, or the emotions are off, right? So we want the mindset, the skill set, and the action set. And when you can get into an ecosystem, an environment where we can inspire you, where the environment is trying to expire you, right? Inspires to instill spirit into the mind of another, right? So the stuff that's holding you back is stressful. It's expiring you. Let's inspire you. Let's get motivated, motivation, motive for action. Here's a question. You may or may not know this, but about 108 billion humans have walked on planet Earth since the beginning, okay, of mankind on Earth, 108 billion humans, okay? 500 plus years of real science, so not very long. I want to ask you a question. Is it true that for most of us, unless we're trying to colonize Mars, we really don't need to be that innovative? If we want to be healthier, is there a way to do that? If we want to get out of debt a little faster, is there a way to do that? Is there a way to make a little bit more money if we want to make a little bit more money? If we're really serious in making more money, is there a way to do that in the next week or 2 or 3 or 4 if we're serious? Is there a way to have a better relationship with a few extra techniques or skills repeated? Yeah. Is there a way to write a book if you're serious? Okay. Is there a way to learn how to be a coach if you're serious? Is there a way to start a business if you're serious? Is there a way to grow that business? Is there a way to have a deeper spiritual connection, whether it's to nature, to God, to whatever? Is there a way to do that? So if the answer is for health, wealth, relationships, career, business, mindset, emotions, the skills and the how to exist. Now, if you don't know how to have more focus, how to have more awareness, how to set goals and set my plans, and how to let go of my fears and augment my self-image and upgrade my self-esteem and release my limiting beliefs. If you don't know how, then in your bubble, the solution does not exist, even though the solution exists. Right? If the solution exists for all of the things, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, if the solution exists, wouldn't it make common sense, right? That if I want to achieve more, I need to put myself in the environment where I could remove my ignorance and upgrade my mindset, upgrade my skill set, upgrade my behaviors. And if I put myself in that environment, would I be able to make progress? Listen, I want to make sure that I'm really clear. A lot of people that ask you to, buy their programs, products, and services are going to promise you the moon and the stars and the galaxies and the universe by the end of this weekend. All right. Gaining some knowledge and awareness takes some time. Taking action takes some time. Learning what was working, what isn't, takes a little bit of time. So if you're wanting to go as fast as you can, I can show you the fastest way to get there. I can show you the slowest methodical way to get there, but here's what I can promise you. I'll show you the right way to get there so that you maximize your inner power, you maximize your emotions, and you maximize your behaviors. So if you're like, I'm unrealistic. Like when you read my goals, I'm like really unrealistic. But I'm also using spiritual laws to tap into the field of all possibilities and of mastered goal achievement. So I can help get you there as fast as you want. But what I will promise you is we're going to do it in a methodical, organized, logical, emotional, motivational way, so that once you learn the process, you can use it for health, mental, emotional. There's a model I teach called SEMP, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. Create alignment there, everything starts to flow. I will teach you how to do that. Then you can use it in your relationships, career, business, money, whatever you want. Once you have the process, right, and you practice and you upgrade your skills on implementation, not only will you be able to use it for yourself, but you'll be able to use it with your family. You'll be able to share it with your children, and you'll be able to fulfill more of your potential. And so that's the promise. I'm not promising you're going to make $1 million by the end of next weekend, but I can share with you the entire process for how you can, if you choose to become a millionaire, how you can release weight and keep it off, how you can have a better relationship, how you could be happier, healthier, because all of it's happening right in your brain. And that I think I'm pretty good at. Hey, this is John, and if you liked that video, watch the next video because it is packed with things that you can do right now to achieve success way faster than ever before.